13. Alex Xavier, who was diagnosed as being severe on the autism spectrum. And so this evening, we're going to engage, we're going to understand what are the challenges, how did they, going through the journey. We're going to look at some myths and how we demystify autism. This is not a medical session, so no, we won't be going into any medical high level medical terms that yes, we'll reference, but this is just to understand the journey. And we want to welcome them. I believe Lowen and Terry, I know it's good to see you. What I didn't say to them is that I've been on this journey with you all, my goodness, for 12 years. Yes. So I want to start with where it started. How did you find out? Because I know many persons, there's a secret I didn't tell you. I celebrate a birthday today. And I remember when my son Kofi was born on the 1st of April. I was so excited that I had this little bundle and thinking, whoa, everything perfect. You look for the 10 fingers, the 10 toes,
Yes,
and everything seemed normal. And I
yes,
know journeying with you, everything was normal.
yeah.
Everything was normal up to a certain stage. So tell us, how did that unfold? What were the emotions? And then we'll go into how did we do the actual diagnosis?
Right.
All right. Thank you. First, we want to say thank you so much for having us for a second time around. And we are elated. And this is our journey. And it empowers us. It gives us while it is a journey that is difficult, it gives us such joy because we are able to encourage others along the journey. Even though it's difficult, it has become a ministry for us. And we have to say that we are proud of where the ministry has taken us thus far. So back to the beginning, Alex, he up to 1 year old, he was hitting all the milestone on the charts accordingly. Um, doing everything just right. At 1 year old, you ask him how old he was, and he was able to point that finger and tell you that he was one. After his first birthday, we discovered that everything takes a U-turn. Now you call him and he wouldn't be paying any attention to you, as if he appears as if he was not hearing. And there was just so many things. All the milestones seem to be going now in reverse. Now, the first person who pointed out something to us was his teacher at the time. He was going to a preschool daycare. And, one evening the teacher called us and said, Mommy, Daddy, we need to have a conversation with you. It's not a very comfortable conversation because a lot of parents doesn't really like to hear when, anything goes wrong with their child. So we kind of made the conversation a little bit more comfortable. We said, listen, we are not the kind of parents who is going to jump at you. Just tell us what your observation is and let us deal with it. So she told us, firstly, it seemed as if Alex wasn't hearing, he wasn't responding to his name, he was walking on tippy toes, he was just spinning objects and all of those stuff, which some of what she told us, of course, we had those observations ourselves, but now hearing it from her, we say, all right, we are okay with what your observation is because we have seen some of that ourselves. The last time we went to the clinic, everything was more or less up to date. So there were no concerns, but we will raise this with our pediatrician. So immediately we then set up our next session with our pediatrician, and she had some observations, she had some concerns, and we did a little pre-assessment with the pediatrician, who in turn, she said, all right, she's not gonna frighten us to say this is it, but there is some inclination of what we are looking at here, that there is the possibility, but what we'll do, we'll have to go through the process. So right then and there, we were in Montego Bay, and at that time she said, but Mommy, guess what? Most of these assessments are done in Kingston. So we will have to take those journeys to Kingston to do all the different hearing tests because they were special hearing tests. These diagnoses were not done in Montego Bay. So that was where our journey actually began. Now, ask us about how we felt when we actually got that. So even though we had this suspicion, we were just hoping that it was just one of those early days where you have delays and then as you go along, things would have sorted out itself because sometimes it is actually a delay and you can work your way out. But when we actually got that diagnosis completed, and he was now about 2.5 going 3, when we got the official diagnosis that yes, he's on the spectrum, not only on the spectrum, but he's on the severe end of the spectrum because as he go beyond 2, beyond 1, going 2, situation started, getting worse. And well, for me, I was totally out of it. I was totally discombobulated. This was not something that I was looking for. This was not something I wanted to hear. This was not something I was prepared to hear. Nobody wanted to know that nothing happened to their child. No, first and foremost, I locked myself in the room for an entire day. I didn't go to work. I mean, everything was, it's as if my world was entirely shattered at this moment. And we started reading up on autism and all of that. And nothing that we have read was giving any positive note in terms of what we wanted to hear. And that makes it even worse. And for me, one of the biggest bombshell, we were early, of course, in our marriage. And one of the biggest bombshell that I read was about 43% of couples in a relationship, they tend to fall apart because of special needs children, because one party not really able to deal with this any at all. And I felt like I was not even only going to be losing a child here now to autism with all that you plan for the child, but there's the possibility of also losing a spouse. And I was just totally out of it. So let me give Lowen a chance to take up from there.
Well, I think you said this the next part of the story best there, in terms of the encouragement, because I didn't we didn't get into this relationship, thinking of the worst and separating because things didn't go as planned. That's not what the vow said, right? We're into a commitment and a relationship. So in spite of the challenges that we did face, because I know Terry got a little concerned, especially when she quoted that statistic, and wondered because what she didn't say is that most times whenever these diagnoses occur, it's the men that get up and leave, right? So
True.
majority of the autistic children are being raised in single parent homes. More often than not, the women are the ones that are in those homes. So I understand the scare, but then, I told her that, I wasn't going anywhere, right? I signed up for this thing for life, and I'm here for life, and I'm gonna be with her through thick and thin. This is not her problem or my problem, it's our problem. And that's the approach that we took, Georgia, to just learning about that diagnosis.
And and
Yeah.
and and yes, and just to say, those words were like wind beneath my wings because that's where I kind of take off with this autism thing because I know, yes, I was gonna have the support. And we prayed about this, we talk about this, we were sad about this, we were happy about this. We went through all the different emotions that this could have brought. But we quickly got to a point because one of the thing is we were always working in family life department and we have always been coaching and mentoring other couples. So it was our time to dip into our reservoir and started talking to ourselves. What would we have said to another couple who would be going through similar situation, and what is it that we would be practicing and learning from our situation? And one of the things I said to the Lord at the table when we had our little Georgia, we always talk about having our board meeting. we had our board meeting around this topic. And one of the things we said in our board meeting, we said, listen, if it is God's will, it is his bill. And if it is his choice, it's going to be his invoice. And to date, I must tell you that how many years later, 11 years later, he has honored every bill and he has paid every single invoice.
I want to pause right there because I love that. If it is God's will, he will
It is
pay the
his bill,
bill. And
Yeah.
if it is God's choice,
is
Yeah.
his invoice.
it's his invoice.
Yes.
What a powerful affirmation of faith. And you mentioned that I'm familiar with your board, and for my sisters and brothers who are on, this is one power couple. Don't look at that; they look unassuming. But I'm gonna move a little bit to your professional lives and how you were able to balance that. But and I'm coming back to the bill and the will and the choice and
Invoice
the
and choice.
invoice because I know that you're both financial professionals,
Mhm.
Lowenfield. You all right, one of the you're very involved. You're a CEO for one of the I won't call the names, one of those big entities in the banking industry in Jamaica. You're now associate vice president at an international entity. In her own right, Terrian is also in finance. They are certified chartered accountants at the highest level of the game in finance, both of you in some very demanding global jobs as professional finance and accounting persons. Some of you on the call know that right now in some entities it's year end and these processes, you have no time. That's the
That's
first
it.
thing what I want to establish. Where you find time. The second thing is the will and the bill. You're at this high level, you're in these powerful positions, and persons will say, but oh, they shouldn't be worried about money. But guess what? It's a significant capital outlay
Yeah.
monthly. And at
Yeah.
that boardroom that you talk about in your house, I know you do your budgeting because you
Mhm.
practice what you preach. Tell
That's
us
Yes.
it.
how you find the time with such demanding jobs. And then what are the real numbers looking like when you put the balance sheet out there for somebody? And I want us to keep one thing in mind. Some of you would have heard a story this morning on the radio about a family in, well, a mother, because I didn't hear about a father in Cedar Valley, St. Thomas, who has a $400,000 bill just for a dental procedure for a child with autistic. You can
Yes.
relate. That's just
Mhm.
one. Tell us about it. How do we relate to that?
All right. So Georgia, on the professional space, right? We operate as a unit, Terry and I, right? And if you ever come to our house, there is no sure that's gender specific here, right? I mean, we balance everything together. I mean, we share everything, and I'm a firm believer in just sharing in whatever, right? That's what we do. And unfortunately, we don't live, close to family and that sort of a thing. So we do a lot of things ourselves. And God has really blessed us too with especially some persons that have come into our lives that have been a staple. They've been there with us on the majority of the journey as well. And I have to give thanks for those individuals. So there are some individuals. I always talk about you have family by blood, but you
Mhm.
have family by
By
love,
love.
right? So sometimes the family by love is even stronger than the family by blood. So
Yes.
that's the strength of a community. But as you mentioned that though, I mean, when we got the diagnosis, shortly after shortly after that, we moved to Kingston. Now, Terrian talk about will and bill and choice and invoice. Uh, when we initially had the suspicion, we were in Montego Bay. We were working Montego Bay at the time. And then we learned that majority of these the tests for the assessment initially were done in Kingston, and then when we got the diagnosis, the intervention that needed to be done had to be done in Kingston as well. But we're Christian folk, and God has always been there for us. So He opened the way to transition us from Montego Bay to Kingston. So we both were able to land jobs in Kingston almost simultaneous to the period when we had the diagnosis, which again, I have to say, who else but God to have ordained it that way, to have worked it out that way, to the point where, we were able to be in the space where we could access some of these services. So that was one thing that God did that was just, fantastic on our behalf. But then we got to the situation now, as you mentioned, the demands of the job. I mean, when I started this new job, I had to be away for about 7 weeks. At one point in time, Terrian was here in a new city, new diagnosis with the child, etc. So she had a very tired time settling down. But we kind of stick to it, and we just made it through that period. It was challenging because Alex Xavier at the time, he was an insomniac, right? He slept for probably 2 3 hours,
And that's it.
and that's it, right? So he isn't gonna be going to bed until 1 2 in the mornings. And Terrian at that time we had to be driving him around, down Washington Boulevard, up, go all the way up Hope Road, up to UTech, come back on Constant Spring Road, just driving, because that was the only thing that we found that could get him to sleep. So you just imagine not getting enough rest and then having the demands of the job, etc. It was really, 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 really challenging for us at that particular juncture. But I'm happy to say that we were able to navigate that period. Kind of leaning on each other for strength. Taking turns. As it is for some of these things, and then ultimately working through the different phases, because this journey, it's been a phase by phase kind of a kind of
Mhm.
a journey. So from a professional standpoint, thankfully, we're in roles that we're very devoted individuals and committed individuals. So we didn't give any less to our jobs. And as a result, whenever we needed to make some adjustments, there was some flexibility that was offered, etc., so that we were able to navigate through what we went through. So I don't
Right.
know, dear, you want to talk about the finance side and how that part played out?
Well, so for the finance side, Georgia, I touch a little bit on just give you an idea as to what the costs are like that we're looking at. So the Alex Xavier was recommended to do three different set of therapy sessions, and these were ABA therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy, right? And each of these sessions are like $8,000. It's now running at $8,000 per session. And we're not talking about one of them might go for a hour. Speech therapy is really half an hour session. So we're talking about 7,500 or 8,500 for a half an hour session. You do this twice per week. We also have the caregiver, and of course, you can't pay a caregiver below minimum wage. So depending on what they do, if they go to school only or they have support in the home as well, their cost can begin about 70,000 and beyond, right? And we also have, he has to be placed in a special needs institution. We don't have many special needs institutions that are run by the government, and you also have to have small class sizes for them as well. So that is running you anywhere between 170 to 400,000 per term. That's the range that you have for the special needs. So in summary, our cost on a monthly basis on a quarterly basis is about $1.4 million that you're looking at on a quarterly basis,
Hold
just for
on.
the
This
basic needs for them.
and this doesn't include any medical intervention as yet.
No
What?
medical. So as you also mentioned about the person you spoke about,
Yeah.
Alex Xavier doesn't cooperate well with dental
Yep.
procedures as well. So we do like a once per year cleaning. And whenever you're gonna do a once per year cleaning, they have to put him under. So you have to pay for that. That's not covered by
And
insurance.
when you say put him under, you mean
Put him to
general
sleep.
anesthesia?
Yeah, you have
General
to get an
anesthetic
anesthesia.
because
Totally
Yeah.
asleep?
yeah, because he wouldn't cooperate. He's not even going to go into that place if he recognized that this is what is going to be done.
Mhm.
So every year we have this exercise to do. This is not covered. The dental
Yeah,
procedures for cleaning, they are
yeah, the
covered under
regular
the
dental
insurance,
stuff,
right?
the cleaning is
But
covered by the
the
insurance, but the
anesthetic is not covered under the insurance. So you can find yourself paying about 300 and odd thousands
yeah,
RPO,
yeah,
right? Just to get that done. And you had to do that like
annually.
annually.
Mhm.
Right.
Annually.
Mm-hmm.
One of the
Mm-hmm.
things, interestingly, I would know, well, I guess more medical practitioners are also being trained on how to deal with
Mm-hmm.
persons
Yeah.
on the
Mm-hmm.
spectrum, because it is not just come, baby, come, it's okay, you're
No.
gonna sit. No.
Yeah.
And so
No.
one of
This
the things
one
I
this
learned,
one is a war zone, Georgia. This
it's
one
a
is a
war
war zone.
zone.
It's a war zone.
I know they're certified medical practitioners now, because you introduced me. In your case, you actually
Yes,
have a dentist who is.
Yeah.
certified.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Tell
yes,
us a
yes.
little bit about that, because that's new information, and we would have heard it on the news this morning. Not
Yeah.
everybody can.
Right. So and that's the again the how the way the Lord leads, right? So the our dentist, as you mentioned, is certified to handle children that are on the spectrum, because it takes a certain skill to work with these children. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be extremely patient with them, understanding the nuances as well, because they react to certain stimulus. So, light, sound,
Mm-hmm.
those sort of things, would cause some kind of meltdowns, etc. So, as a dentist, you have to go through some kind of an immersion to understand the condition, and then not only to understand the condition, but how to interact with the child having the condition, being a part of your own practice, etc. For Alex, it's a little, I don't say it's a little, it is extreme, right? So it's not that all children on the autism spectrum, you'd have to use general anesthetic.
Right.
It may be that, you can introduce a particular environment that
Mm-hmm.
they're more or less comfortable in, and they'll allow you to carry out the procedure. But for Alex Xavier, that is not the case, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
dentist will have to understand the range of those emotions, and
Yeah.
then adapt and adjust, if you will, to ensure that, one, they're true to their own profession, and they're not compromising on things, and they execute on the duties while caring for the child, him or herself. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
really challenging kind of a situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy there, and as you mentioned in Georgia, there are only a few. I can only think of two there, in Kingston,
Yeah.
that would
Somebody just
do.
asked. We will drop the contact
I have
in.
it, I have
Oh,
the
you have it?
Okay,
information.
Georgia,
Okay,
yes.
Georgia.
We will
Yeah.
introduce Georgia to her, so
Oh
Georgia
yeah.
is
Oh
familiar,
yeah.
right?
Right.
So, but
So
but
there are two
there are
because we
two.
also have the other one on
Mullines Road.
Mullines Road that we usually go to before.
Yep.
We'll get you that contact as well, Georgia.
Yep. So
Okay.
there are two that are certified to work with these kind of children, and
There are others, but we don't really have a list at the moment. So what we'll do, we just
Yeah.
share with you what we use
yep,
and what we're familiar with at the moment.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. And I'm glad for those who are some, as you said, someone I like the as we see the comments coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and as Sister Hillary said when she led the devotions, this abundant life is undergirded by wholesome knowledge, and
That's
and
it.
shared with community, and that's what we are
It.
doing. So we're sharing the information. We're gonna put it out there. Um, the secretariat and those on the technical side will post the information for everyone to see, because I can't chat with everyone based on my
Yeah.
rights.
Right.
No. Yes. All right. Now, I'm gonna take a pause
Yes.
because you mentioned something that many people don't realize. You spoke about what the overstimulation.
Yeah.
And I've been learning, and I wore blue today because I learned that blue is the color of choice because it is said to be calming for persons on the spectrum. So, and it's not for everybody, but
Yeah.
generally they have the promotion is that people with sensory issues, they may be stimulated by other colors, but blue seems to be calming. So just some simple changes in
Yeah.
how we advocate for
Yes.
the family and just learning. I remember once you told me that Alex Xavier he kept going into what you call a meltdown, and what it was just a tag on the back of his
That
shirt.
is it.
Yeah.
That is it. That is it.
Things that we
So
wouldn't think of. Yes?
Right.
exactly. So there's hypersensitivity, Georgia. Let me describe it that way, right? So
Yes.
you think about your senses and then it's multiplied for them probably by 10, right? So just what you'd consider simple touch is not simple touch for them.
Very
It's
Mhm.
yes,
uncomfortable.
it's uncomfortable. So you don't find them to be like, wanting to readily give a hug or something, because they're not too much into the touching um
True.
as 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 well. Alex Xavier right now for his hair, I can't use a shear to cut his hair, so I use hair removing cream. That's what I have to resort to, right? Because he
Wow.
will not allow you to use a shear to touch his head. So what's the one that we call it? Magic. That's the one I have to.
Magic shave.
Yeah, the magic shave. We buy them by the half a dozen on Amazon. On a periodic basis. As you mentioned, color. So, all right, I'll give you an example. So, we had a particular preacher at church, an international preacher, and he was coming to Jamaica, and it's gonna be a big thing because folks from across Jamaica are gonna be gathering at the arena and stuff to see this, hugely popular preacher. And of course, I went. Terry and I, we went and Alex Xavier. They mistake me for a pastor, Georgia, when I walked in and they gave me preferred seat as a result. So I didn't too complain, you understand? So I got a good view of proceedings and so on. But as we got in there, Alex Xavier started to get a little bit of antsy and so on. And I took him outside. He calmed down and stuff. And then the minute we got inside, he started to erupt again. And then I took him outside. And then I said, "Oh, this is this phase, that we're going through that we're just learning because I didn't know this." So he had this sensitive. It was just too loud of an environment for him,
Yeah.
and it made him extremely uncomfortable. And just by removing him out of the space,
Mm-hmm.
did work wonders for him. Another example, I took him to Megamart, and he just threw himself down on the floor and he was there just spinning around on the floor and stuff. And I said, what could be happening here? And he did it, every time we go into the aisle, he just threw himself down. Again,
All the
too many colors, right? So it was a myriad of things that was happening. So the labels and the cans and so on. It was coming to him at 100 miles an hour. Plus, the faces, and then on top of that, the extreme lights and the air conditioning sounds. It was just like too much of a melting pot for him
Yeah.
being in the environment. And how they calm themselves down is by what we call a meltdown, which is really trying to
self-regulate.
self-regulate all of the stimulus, all of the stimuli that is coming to them all at once. So that's something that we learned
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and have had to strategize around how we handle.
You see, one of the things that allows us to cope, Georgia, every time some things happen, we have to look at it as lessons learned. So we have created this thing around our life. Anything that happens, it happens for a purpose. Doesn't matter how bad it is. And we are always saying, if it's not a lesson, then it's a blessing. And even it's not a blessing for us, it might be a blessing for somebody else.
Mhm.
So we are going through this, and we are having our blessing moments, and at the same time we are having our lessons learned moment. So
Yeah.
every time something happens, we just have to spin that positive side. Okay, what is this teaching us? Is this patient? Is it that we're learning something new? And it's like it's every day you are in class with Alex Xavier, and you just never know what this little teacher is going to come with. So you just have to have your pens out at all times to take notes of what is it that you're going to learn. And it is out of all these lessons that our ministry is actually formed.
Yeah.
And we just have to be
Awesome.
determined and very open to the lessons on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
when things do happen, sometimes we like, okay, I want this now, Lord. When I want to go and stuff. But then we have to quickly recoup, and we come again.
All right, we're gonna regroup and come again because we're gonna
Yes.
take a pause. And we're gonna put a poll in the chat because
Yeah.
you kind of hinted at it. And
Mhm.
I want to say we're asking the question is true or false?
Mm.
Autism is a disease.
Mm.
So the poll is gonna be activated for about 1 minute, and we're asking you to go ahead. It's right on your screen.
Yes, I
Autism
believe.
is a disease, true or false? Go ahead and select your answer. We're running it for about 30 more seconds. There are 66, wow, 66 devices on. Thank you so much for being on. So we're averaging about 100 persons. It's good to have you all. So we are closing the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see what the result of the poll says. All right, so all right. Bringing up the results. I'm not seeing it. Let's see if I can find it here. All right. I'm expecting
35.
you're seeing it?
Yes, 40 persons responded, 35 saying false and 5 saying true.
And the correct answer is false.
The correct answer is false. Autism is not a disease. It's a
Uh,
disorder. It's
yes,
not a mental health challenge. It's a disorder. Now, one of the things you learn is that, yes, some persons can, as they grow, develop mental health issues, but autism, it's not a disease, right? And it's not something that we can cure.
yes.
It's something
Okay.
that we manage, and we've been hearing from the Alleynes how they have managed it. And we're gonna pivot a little bit in terms of Alex Xavier and how I know you have moved through schools and we hear the term shadow, and
Yes.
how does he adjust to that? Because then again, he has to work with the temperament of somebody who is new. How does that work for you? And um, the school part of it, because you can't send him to a regular school. How do you deal with that part?
Um, Georgia, the shadow part of things is a real shadow.
It's a real shadow.
It's a real
Wow.
shadow, and the shadow dark sometimes.
Oh no.
The
Wow.
reality is that is one of the major challenge that we have had. Um, Finding the right person, because you know that these children, they're on a spectrum, and when we say on a spectrum, it affects them differently. Autism affects each person differently. And one person may exhibit totally different situations from another child. Now, our child is on the extreme end. So you name the challenges them, we have them all. Now, one of the challenges that we face is really being able to identify and hold on to that effective person in terms of what we would want for Alex Xavier. So we end up with a whole lot of challenges with when it comes to caregiving. So we have demanding jobs, and sometimes you may find persons with not understanding our jobs, and they are more carefree when it comes to timeliness and all of that. And you just have to let them go. We have shadows that we ended up in situation where we just start have things missing. We had to let them go. We have shadows where there was a point we had one case of abuse, and we had to let go that shadow as well. And most recently, I have to give you this one. Most recently, we terminated a shadow in January of this year, and this is how extreme it gets. Since September, Alex has been going to swimming classes, and we paid for swimming for Alex to go to swimming classes. And in January, weekly, on a weekly basis. And in January, what we discovered, what we uncovered was Alex was not going to swimming classes. The shadow would take the money and then just wet up the clothes them and send them home. So we see the clothes them come home and things say, a swimming class go. And no swimming class no go. So, so it was some very interesting moment. And as a result of that, I think we went through one of the hardest moments with that particular experience, because now we have gotten to a place of trust issues, because this is a child that is nonverbal. The
Mhm.
hardest part for me was understanding that he was there, knew what was happening, and he couldn't say to us, mommy or daddy, and he wasn't allowing us to go to swim, allowing me to go to swimming.
Mhm.
So it was a real heartrending issue in finding the right person, navigating the communication, getting them to understand. So it's like this moment you find somebody and this person is good in working with him, but then it may not be good for our jobs or other reasons and stuff.
Yeah.
So we have been having quite a bit of roller coaster moment. But you know, to God be the glory, great things He has done. Out of every situation, we have learned. And as we learn, we unlearn, and then we have to set new standard and expectation as we go along. But the good news is the Lord has always been good in making provision for us, and where whenever something slipped through the crack, the Lord has always made some provision for us to continue having him in school, even sometimes without a shadow, and the Lord would always work with it until we are able to get stable again.
Yeah, I want to add to.
Question. Before you come in, Lowen, quick
Yeah.
question. Is
Mhm.
there a place that you know that trains persons to
Right.
be shadows?
I'm gonna answer the question, Georgia, but
Okay.
just give me one sec, right? Because
Yes.
we have to put things into context. Yes, we've been through many persons working with Alex Xavier, and that's a disadvantage because they take a while to connect with persons, etc. Right? But we had one person that we had for what, 5 or 6 years working with us.
Yeah, she was about 6 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
working with 6 years. So that that offered some amount of stability
Stability.
during that period, and we're eternally grateful
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
for that, right? After that relationship ended because the person migrated at the time, we got connected to an agency that does the training of the shadows, in addition to assignment of the shadows. So we've been working with this particular agency a little over a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little over a year. Um, but and they've been very good partners, from the perspective of taking feedback and making the adjustments and working with us. Unfortunately, some of the personnel, we had some issues there, but I wouldn't say it's the agency themselves, because they've
Mm-hmm.
always been very professional, been open communication, receptive to feedback, that sort of thing. So I think it is just one of those issues where sometimes you just can't land the right person and the best fit some of the time. So we've been working and still are working with the with the agency that does the training. I mean, we can share if yeah,
Yeah.
if we
Yes,
don't. It's
please.
called, and it's called Anderson Child Management. We
If you
can
can put
share.
it in the chat,
Yes,
because
Yeah.
there are
Anderson,
persons
Anderson.
here who will not necessarily interact with
Right.
us post, because I know we have people from all across the globe who have logged
Yes.
in. Yes, so please, they may be able to send it on to someone in Jamaica who needs that. So Anderson Child Management, are they online,
Yeah.
or is
Anderson
there a phone number?
Child Management. Yes. Terry
Right.
gonna look for that number and share.
Thank you so
Right.
much.
So it's, and for them too, it's a ministry that started this business out of helping especially mothers with ensuring that they get the child support money for those fathers that have run away, etc. They've, come up with this receipt book and accountability
Mm,
for those things. And then it evolved into them doing, shadow assistant, student assistant training and
yeah,
that sort of a thing. She runs the courses, and she also provides student assistants that can be assigned to children. So if you have your own shadow, because sometimes some persons have their household helper, and you send the household helper to school, but a household helper is not necessarily the
yeah.
best fit in that kind of environment. So she will
Mhm.
take persons like those and go through the training, and ultimately have them perform better in their roles. Terian has also
Excellent.
been a guest lecturer, if you will, for some
Yeah.
of the cohorts um that she has trained. So good
Mhm.
relationship so far, and we're happy to be working with them. But as we mentioned before, sometimes we have a little issue with some of the personnel, but the leadership of the company, they've been very receptive to feedback.
Very good. I noticed you said Terrian has done presentations with them. One of the things that I know and I can share is,
Yeah.
Terrian, you mentioned that Alex Xavier is nonverbal, but you have been able to move him from being nonverbal to be singing, to be talking. I wanted to talk to that, but before you get there, there's one mother who has posted that she ended up having to give up her job to be the shadow because she just can't find anyone. How would you encourage her in terms of finding balance, you know, and not reaching burnout? Because I know you've been down this road. You didn't give up your job, but and which is even harder. How does she
Mhm.
find balance and not burnout? And then you can tell us how you moved Alexandra from nonverbal to now being able to speak.
All right. So finding the balance, I mean, the support is very important. And I couldn't do this all by myself, Georgia. So, first to the one and only Almighty God, we have to give him thanks, for giving us the strength, because sometimes we don't know ourselves as to where and how we find that strength. But for us, we kind of make it our priority, and we put a schedule together. So each evening when we come home, there is a 1 to 2 hour that is allotted for Alex Xavier once we come home in the evening. And I would be doing this most of the time. So I will set my goals and my targets. And on the channel, we did a presentation on how to set goals for these children, and we'll set our goals as to what we're working on. I will do a research as to what my game plan is going to be, and then I would write my lesson plan surrounding that. And then each evening, I would work that lesson plan with him, if it is even for half an hour, because their attention span is short. So even though I have a 2 hour slot, I mean, most of it is probably for documenting, review, and updating my internal documents and stuff. But at least we have that half an hour session for him, that if we're gonna do word articulation or we're working on enunciation of letters, then this is what we're gonna do this evening. So we come in, we identify what letters we're gonna work on, and then we work on that for at least half an hour. I work along with the teachers to make sure that we don't have homework coming home every evening. So we also have a balance with that as well. So we may have homework 2 evenings, and the homework, of course, with this school that Alex is attending, the homework is appropriate, it's not overbearing, and they are relevant at his age and stage, rather, not only age, but age and stage. So we'll get that out of the way quickly. We have a part-time shadow that works with us at least two evenings per week. So she will take him from school, and Alex will go home with her. So I will discuss with her what are our plans for the week, what we're working on, what are the goals we're working on, and we discuss the activities. So once she gets home, she have a 2 hour window before I get to pick him up at 5:30, and she will work on those goals with him as well. So when he's with me, I am working on the goals. When Alex is with Auntie Cheryl, she's working on those goals. So we are in sync. If I have to be somewhere and I'm not home on time and daddy is home, he knows what the goals are, and he also pick up that slack, and he's going to work in that half an hour.
Mhm.
There are times when we're just tired, we don't get to it, we can't do it, we don't have the energy. But what we do, we take a break. If we just have to take a break sometime, we take a break because it's important that we refuel. So there are times when we just drop everything and we just lie down, and then we just come again. So even if you take a week break or you take a couple days break or a hours break, whatever it is, as long as we get back to it. So what we do, we practice stick to it. We don't give up any at all. And one of the thing, Georgia, that propels us as well, since we have started this initiative called the Artistic Edge, and we have been sharing, I must tell you that the sharing of our material also help us to be structured, because we have a lot of parents who are just looking out for the information on a weekly basis in terms of what to do. So while we have our structure, when we are working with Alex Xavier, what we do is each time we're working on our goals and our session and our new findings and stuff, we recorded these. So at least we have them. So persons are depending on us, it propels us to do more. And Alex has, benefited. For last week, I'm gonna ask Lowen to pull up just a snippet of last week video. We're gonna show you
Okay.
where we are now in terms of Alex Xavier. Alex Xavier is coming from when we started speech therapy with Alex Xavier. He was like no words, just running around making some sounds. We don't know what they are. We never had a very good experience parting, for the speech therapist. We weren't getting anywhere after 2 years spending uh a couple $1 million. um you know what we ended up with was just nothing, and we had to pull him from speech therapy because we were just paying this enormous amount of money. So after we would have come up with our research and how we are gonna approach this with him and reviewing all sort of little techniques and stuff. Remember, we got one point that I think we probably had shared that one last year. We one of the activities that we do, and these are just some. And for those persons who are interested, we have a playlist on the channel with just speech therapy activities. So to tell you about all the activities is a whole lot. So we have a playlist that is speech therapy activities straight on the channel. Now, we plan some activities, Georgia. We take with vacation day off from work, take him to the zoo, and we decided we were gonna do articulation exercise at the zoo. And we were teaching him how to pronounce the name of the animals. Now, on our first visit to the zoo, I guess we can find that one first. Our first visit to the zoo, Georgia, we're gonna give you a clip of that as Lowen finding our first visit to the zoo.
Okay.
Was trying to get Alex to say mommy. And I don't know. Let me share with you what word came out instead of mommy. And we were actually at the zoo. So here we are, we have it. Can you Are you able to share? Okay. Computer sound is on there. Monkey. Monkey. What's the name of the animal, Alex? Alex is monkey. Mommy. I'm going to put it by your Alex is monkey. It is mommy. Monkey. You see? It is monkey. Monkey. Is it? Mommy.
I know he wasn't saying that was equal to that, but wow. Wow.
So, we couldn't get him to say mommy. We just get him. All he would say is just monkey, right? And then we started working on some articulation. So we will pull the articulation down. No, shorts. All right. So the articulation, right? So then we started working on our letter sounds, and here we are again. We give you another clip it, and just to show you a little bit of some of our life. Love it. Say, very good. B, E, K, D. Love it. All right. So, and those were some of the exercise that and then you go and pull the latest one up now. Those were some of the at-home exercise that we keep drilling. And what you may see here, you are seeing results that we have gotten. Because what we'll do, we would share the videos when we actually got some results. But it takes weeks, months, time, effort, because he's coming from no words, right? And then most recently, this is where we are now. Words that are actually taken from one of his reading books. So what we want to do for this is, while he's reading, you can hear the words coming out. You realize that he knows the words, but the pronunciation of the words or the articulation of the words are giving him somewhat of a challenge. So what we're going to do today, I am going to spell the word, and what he's going to do is to identify the word that I'm spelling. Now, the other way around, we would have given him the spelling, so you'll say the word and have them spell the word. But practice.
I just made a $25 kids coloring book using AI. Watch how I did it so you can do it too. All I did.
Okay? Okay. So I'm going to spell the word and you're going to say the word. Look at me. I'm going to spell the word and you're going to say the word. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Here we go. What is D-O-G?
Dog.
Dog. Say I want to hear the G at the end.
Dog.
Very good. What is P-E-T?
Pet.
Pet. Y-E-S.
S.
Come on. Y-E-S.
Yes.
Yes. All right. B-U-G.
Bug.
Bug. Beautiful. Let me get that G at the end.
Bug.
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 Bug. Very good. C. Want to get the mommy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow. Awesome.
Well, I
Tarian.
M.
Jim.
Nice. I love the M. All right. C-A-N.
Chance.
Can. Say the N at the end. Hold on. Give me the pronunciation. The N at the end. Can. Very good. Say that again.
Can.
Very good. I like that. B-I-G.
Best.
Big.
Big.
Big. Very good. Come again. R-E-D.
Well.
Red. R-E-D. Red. Come again. R-E-D.
Was
Red.
Rend.
Say that again.
Rend.
Red. Okay. All right. What about F-A? M-A-N?
Mas.
Man. All right. I'm going to give you a big one. M-O-M-M-Y. What is that?
Mommy. Sure. I.
So those are some of the behind the scenes, and this is where he is now in speech therapy using our technique. And I hope we would have answered some of that question, Georgia, from the speech therapy.
Wow, there's so much. This is it's awesome. And Terian, are you a trained teacher?
No, far from it. I'm an accountant.
You're an accountant. What
Yeah,
God be praised.
Georgia, here's my thing to her, because when you think about being multi-talented,
Yeah.
Terrian's the person. I mean, she's great with her hands. Some of the tools and the crafts and stuff that you see on the channel are things that she'd make from scratch. I mean, even the background that you see in the videos here with these circles and shapes, people would think that these are some fancy things that we got to get some fancy decorator to do and stuff. No, no, no. It's Terian and being the head cook and bottle washer, and she bring Alex Xavier and myself into doing these kind of things. But I said to her, Georgia, that somebody will say to her, boy, she missed her calling, and I say, how much call she a gonna answer? That is the question, right?
I always say to her that she
Yes.
needs to go into this as a full-time
Yeah.
teacher. And one of the beautiful things about Terran says to me, Georgia, I can't do it because I can't charge.
Yes.
Because this is a gifting to
Oh
share
God.
with
Yes.
the world.
Yes.
And I'm in it because I realize how expensive it is. And so we want to give God thanks for
Yes.
the love that you have for God's people. And this
Yes.
is your call. We're going to do one more poll. And I want you to look at your device, and we're going to ask the question. It's going to pop up. The question is, there's an autism epidemic. True
All
or
right.
false?
That's a big one, Georgia.
It's a big one, and it's very controversial.
Yes.
There is an autism epidemic. Listen, I won't tell you what I thought before and when I started doing with my research. We have 30 more seconds. The numbers are climbing. Look on your phone, true or false. Right, you realize
Yeah.
what's
This needs to be a
there.
time.
Yes. All right. 10, 9, 8. Get your answer in. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one out there. Unbelievable. 60% of the respondents say true. There's an autism epidemic. And I'm going to tell you that there it's on your screen. The correct answer is false. And why the reality is, persons are saying, but we never hear about this when I was growing up, we didn't have it. Guess what? There's greater recognition because of seminars like what we are doing, educating. We have more advocates. Also, we have access to early intervention, as Alleyne said, and supportive therapies that are out there. There's increasing medical expertise. We spoke about it. You saw there, we're right here in Jamaica. We have medical practitioners who are also going another step to be certified as working with persons on the autism spectrum. And there's also the note of changes to the diagnosis, because there was always, it says in 2013, changes to the DSM-5. I know we have some medical practitioners on. It declared ASD an umbrella diagnosis that replaced other diagnoses, including Asperger's syndrome,
Yeah.
autism, childhood disintegration disorder,
Mhm.
and pervasive developmental disorders. So people with these diagnoses were instead grouped under an ASD diagnosis, which caused ASD to seemingly become more prevalent overnight. No,
Yeah.
it's just a change. And there are some new rules on how we diagnose. And so that is why we're seeing more people being diagnosed now. So there is no there's not a COVID. Childhood
Mhm.
vaccines do not cause autism. So that's
Yeah.
another myth that's out
Yeah.
there about the
Yep.
MMR, and
Yep.
that there's a vaccine conspiracy. Do you know where that came from? There was a researcher who did it, posted it in a medical journal, but guess what? He was being funded by a company that was trying to push that ideology, and
Mhm.
he falsified the data. You can research it yourself. I'm not making this up. In 2010,
Right.
he was charged with dishonesty and he was stripped of his right to practice medicine. But guess what? Just like in Jamaica, we say once you start the rumor, they gone through the gate already, person
Mhm.
not hearing. So these are some of the realities. This is, the myths that are out there. Lowen,
Mhm.
Terrian, what are somebody put something in the chat? I won't say it because I still want to go back to America.
Yeah.
I want to keep my visa for a little longer. But Lowen and Terrian, you've heard these myths and you've
Yes.
had to be debunking them. We're
Yes.
going to final section now and then we're going to open the chat. What other myths are you hearing out there?
Right. So a common one, Georgia, is the confusion between autism and Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a separate condition altogether. Um, and Down syndrome does have some physical features that you can identify that the child is on Down syndrome. And one of the things that we'll get is persons will look at Alex Xavier and say, "But you don't look autistic." But autism doesn't carry a look, right? It doesn't carry a look at all. So persons have to be mindful of that, right? That's one. Number two,
You will grow it out.
that's exactly where I was going there. Him going grow it out. No, 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 mind it, right? Him going, him going grow it out. It's not a condition that you grow, well, you grow into or you grow out of, right? It's best to diagnose early and then have early intervention. That will give the child or person the best opportunity of adapting and adjusting, especially in a social environment. So the quicker you can introduce intervention strategies, the better it is for the child, or the person that is on the spectrum. What are some of the other things there that we see as myth?
All right. Some persons will say it only affects children.
Yes.
Well, the reality is you will actually have, it will start from childhood, but you will grow up with autism. So one of the things that we have seen on our campaign is a lot of adults that are now just being diagnosed because it was a situation before. Some persons will say that autism is on the rise, and in my purview, it's a balance between, yes, it's on the rise, one, and also the fact that there are more opportunities now for diagnosis. So therefore, because we are now having more opportunity for diagnosis and more awareness of the condition, then we are now discovering. So we have adults that are just being diagnosed for ADHD or even autism. I remember in one presentation that we did, this lady stood up at the end of the presentation and said, her son is now 27 years of age. And just by us telling her all of these things that we are telling her now, is the same thing her son going through. So she feels the autism. Her son have never been diagnosed. She didn't know anything about diagnosis, didn't know where to take the child, didn't know that we could even get an autism diagnosis and all of that. So at this stage, she's just beginning at 27 years old, knowing anything in terms of what to do. Just last week, we were talking to a parent. She has a 19-year-old grandson, and she said she didn't know that there was anything at all that she could have done with the child, or there were things that she could have worked with the child. And she was saying to me, the father died, the mother absent out of the child life, and she is trying as a grandmother, she's trying with the child. And at 19 years old, the child is not potty trained, and she didn't know how to potty train that child.
Wow.
And it was somebody who actually introduced her to our channel. And we had to had a little conversation with her and give her some tips in terms of direction for potty training. We have some presentations on the channel as well that we do with with potty training. So she was able to get some help now. Started out very late, but nonetheless, it is still hope. And these are the things, Georgia, that keep us going, because when we find these persons out there who really don't know what to do, that's what our mission is also about. And somebody in the chat says some parents are in denial, which is true. We have had quite a few parents that we have met with as well, who are really just in that place of denial, don't know where to turn, don't know where to go, and they just don't want to accept it. And but with these parents, what we do, because we do have um the situation ourselves dealing with, it is easy for us to give them the undiluted truth that, listen, you have to wake up and accept. We had to wake up very early. It was difficult for us, but here we are today ministering to you about our situation. And I mean, there are some persons probably, they are not the best person to deliver the message. The parents do have pushbacks, but most of the time when they meet us, there's hardly much of a pushback when they hear from us, because guess what? We can tell you the undiluted truth. Anything you're going through, we can associate with that, and we can tell you, say, listen, yes, this is what we have done. So you talk about potty training, and you talk about your child being 7, 8, 9, and all the mess going all over the place. We have been through that when we were teaching him potty training, and when he was somewhat getting it, and when he would poo in the toilet, then he would use the brush to brush before he flush. And it took us another 2 months before he get the concept of flush before you brush. So you can just imagine the amount of brush that we had to wash and all of those things, and the different kinds. So you name it, we have been there. So telling somebody about it when you are in it yourself, is it does makes a difference.
Right. And I just wanted to add a little bit. I saw somebody in the chat typing, some of those myths. One of them identified there being hereditary.
Hereditary.
Yeah, that's the word.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's not the case
Mhm.
as well. I mean, we would have looked at that, even tracing our own families to see if there was instances of that, and there's no such finding or research that has pointed it back to it being hereditary at all. The other thing too, and we get labels like this sometimes about bad
Bad
parenting.
parenting.
Right. People will look at him and say, daddy, you can't control your picnic kind of a thing, you allow the little boy to rule you, and stuff like that. But I know that sometimes come from a place of ignorance. So I don't get upset whenever people address me like that, or us like that. I just use it as an opportunity to engage them and to share with them, because it's really from a lack of information why persons would be speaking like that. So, Georgia, those are some of the myths that exist, or they're some of the more popular ones,
Yeah.
if you will. There are many others, but these are some of the more popular ones that we will regularly see.
But
One of
thank
the
you.
things
Oh, go
too,
ahead.
Georgia, I think this one is critical. The fact that they don't speak doesn't necessarily mean they don't understand.
Right.
This is key because sometimes they are not able to really relate to you or to talk to you, but they communicate in their own language. What happens most of the time is we don't understand their language.
Yep.
And when they are relating to us at times, because we don't understand and we do something totally different from what is expected, that will cause the confusion, the tantrum, the meltdown, and all those kind of stuff. And somebody said Jamaicans can be very unkind. And one of the things I will say to that is I try to stick on the positive side. I would want to say sometimes that they are more unlearned. Because what we do find is sometimes we meet up on some persons and they are like very aggressive and Alex do something that it's not acceptable, it's not socially acceptable. And the moment we engage them in a conversation and we started by saying, he's a special child, he's a special need, he's on the spectrum, do you know anything about autism? And when we ask the question, do you know anything about autism? Most of the time we get a no. They don't know the word, never heard of it. And we use the opportunity to educate. And what we find is 98% of the time when we started talking to persons and they really know get a grasp, then they come around and so how you manage, and they want to know more, and so me have one neighbor and one cousin, and so now when you talk to persons, you find, but more recently we are finding more and more persons though that are saying we are aware because or we know somebody with autism. So the awareness is increasing.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I
yeah.
wanna add a little
And
bit
one of the
to.
things, oh, sorry.
Yeah, Georgia, I just wanted to add a little bit as well as you talk about the theme celebrating differences. Think about things from the perspective of the autistic person, right? We are trying to get them to enter into our world. What we need to do is to start to try to tap into their world. That's a better way to go about it. We need to get into their world rather than trying to get them into ours. It's not a thing that you try to fix these individuals. That's not it. You have to appreciate who they are, how they are, and engage them on their level and actually celebrate the differences. It's the differences that make them unique, and diversity is always good. I've been doing some research as we get into the Autism Awareness Month, Georgia, and I'm looking at what are some of the best fit areas for persons that are on the spectrum. They're great at problem solving. They're great at putting puzzles together because they have the ability to separate emotions from things, because they don't get emotional about things, because sarcasm is something that they understand, right? So they strip away the emotions from things, and they look at things more directly, and be able to assess more concisely and those sort of things. When the neurotypical individual may, depending on how it is said and who say it and all of these things, may color the approach. That's not the case for them. They strip it right down to the bare bones, and then they work through it. So,
And I mean, Don said in the chat that some play music skillfully, and we just want to tell you, in addition to that, that Alex, he manipulates his tablet seamlessly, and we didn't teach him how to do that. And here is the tricky part of it. Alex only plays Christian music. And I know we find them give him.
well, there's not a music being played in the house.
Yeah, that's one.
Still, but it's not
Right,
like,
but when he goes on the tablet,
yes.
he will go and he will find his songs. And sometimes when you hear him come out with a song and you're like, we hear that one day after me never dey sing that one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just what heaven
Yeah.
means to me, and you know those
Mhm.
big songs. And because he loves to listen to his music, and whenever he puts the tablet down, you will hear him start vocalizing these songs. He will just watch them and play them over and over. And once he put that tablet down, he's getting that song and he's singing. Now, because he loves singing, what I have done is I have actually turned singing I have incorporated singing into his speech therapy sessions as well. So I will allow him to sing some songs, and where the words are not articulated properly, I will just, stop him and we work on the pronunciation of that word, and then we sing it again. And all of that is in our
Mhm.
playlist there.
Yeah.
I just want to touch
Excellent.
on I
Yeah.
just want to touch another point, Georgia. I saw where somebody put in the chat that the therapist is expensive and limited in Jamaica, and I also see where we need an island-wide campaign. Now, I want to just tell you a little bit about a recent project that we have actually started in Jamaica.
Mhm.
The Michael Care Center, which is a part of the Michael College, have recently launched what we call Eco Autism for educators. Now, the word echo there is extension for community healthcare outcomes. That what it actually mean. No, this is a program that is birthed out of the United States. We actually did some training with a group from the University of Missouri. No, the idea of the program is we have a panel of experts, and what we do, we train the educators through case-based studies. So I am a part of that committee. I have partnered with Michael. We have a few other professionals on it, and it's a great way to have because the services are so limited in Jamaica, we target our educators. And the reason for that is most of the teachers now are the ones identifying firsthand that something is wrong with these children. So the parents, once they go off to kindergarten and they started out, a lot of the behavior would seem somewhat normal, and we think that, hey, this is going to be. So we find that more and more educators are seeing these children coming through the system. The government is asking, do not send them back home, but the educators are really crying out. They themselves don't know how to teach these children because they were not trained. So with Michael, we have a panel of professionals. So we have an ABA therapist, a speech therapist, a child psychologist, we have a nurse, and we have a few educators. We have myself, who is also an expert by practice and parent advocate. That is on that. Yes, that's the title they give, right? That is on that committee, and I am honored to share and serve with our Jamaican teachers. So we have recently launched the first training batch of educators, and we're running that for about 8 sessions. So every
Wow.
other Wednesday, we are on. So we have our first cohort of educators that we are training them through case studies. So they will come with their case, and as a panel, we review the case and we give them recommendation as to what they can do in the classroom, what they need to go back to, what conversations they need to go back and have with the parents for those children that they have. We have a lot of them who have not yet been diagnosed, and because the waiting list for diagnosis is so long, persons have appointments as far up to 2026, and we are now in March 2025. So we have this, we can't wait on the appointment date. So what we have to do is to give recommendation to folks what you can do now in helping these children until we can better able to get them diagnosed if they're able to get diagnosed, but then you can move them along and work with them. So that is a program that we have recently launched. We are yesterday, it was last week, we had session 2 of our program, and this is going to be running up until
Ariane,
June. Mm-hmm.
you realize it's been a prophetic word when I told you that this is your
Yeah,
calling. I keep running away from it. And You know, God works in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
there are times when persons will say, God, what is you put me? And I always remember Psalm 139, 13 to 17. And I know I challenge you all, go and read it. For you created me in my inmost being. You knit me
Yeah.
together in my mother's womb. I wasn't a mistake. I praise
Yeah,
you
that's
because
it.
I'm fearfully and
And
wonderfully
wonderfully
made.
made,
Your
marvelous.
works are wonderful.
Yes,
I know
marvelous
that
are
full
the
well. My
words
friend
of
wasn't
the
hidden from
soul.
you when I was made in the secret place, when I was
Yes,
knit together in the depths of the earth.
yes,
You saw
yes,
your eyes saw my unformed body. You saw the mind.
yes.
Days ordained for me, that this day were written in your book before
And
one of them came to be.
Mhm,
amen,
mhm,
Look
amen,
at
mhm.
amen.
God. We
You know
sit
what,
and we say,
Jaja,
look at God.
when I mention, you know, if you
Yes,
are on my personal email, I have a note at the end of it that says, Thy purpose, Lord, I cannot see, but all is
all
well
is
that's
well.
done by thee. And
Awesome.
I have this mantra going for years.
Yes.
And sometimes I said, there are some songs I'm not going to sing.
Okay.
Because if I ask the Lord to lead me, I may just not follow him. So you know what? Anyway, I want to go.
Yeah.
Anyway with Jesus. Anyway with Jesus.
I
I
want to
will
I
go.
want to take some questions because
Yeah,
we have
Okay.
a lot of people who want to keep in touch with you. I
Yeah.
want you to put in the chat
Mhm.
the link to your YouTube space because a
Channel.
lot of
Mhm.
persons want to get in touch with you or both. They want
yes,
to learn more about ECHO. They want to be a part of the Autistic Edge publications, and they may have
Mhm.
questions. If there's any other
Jaja,
way,
just to
yes,
say, the echo for now, the echo is for the educators. That's the arm that we have launched at this moment
yes,
because the teachers really don't know how to teach these children in the school and they don't know what advice. No, it's a small group and of specialists, and you know the specialists are hard to come by.
yeah,
So they have devoted their time that they are going to do this. We can't make the classes to, you have to apply to the program and, you know, get accepted. Only teachers, unfortunately, only educators that is being accepted at the
and
moment.
yes,
Right. And we have the first cohort. And again, needless to tell you, the waiting list is long. We have a lot of persons who have registered to at least be in the second cohort. So we are going to be rolling out as soon as we finish the first section,
yeah,
the first set of educators. We're going to be doing a postmortem on the program. But one thing we can
See?
program, the program is going excellent. They are very, very receptive.
yes,
And as soon as they're finished, we will take a little break and we are going to be doing the second cohort. So we
excellent.
Right. So this advertisement comes out directly through the microcare program. So through the microcare program. So we're not launching it out big yet because we can't take a lot of persons. We want the program to be impactful and we
Mhm.
want it to be meaningful and we want to be able to give good, realistic recommendation that will really and truly help the kids in the different classrooms. So it's slowly, but we're coming
Yeah.
around.
And we thank God for the gifting that He has placed in both of you to be
Yeah.
able to navigate this difficult space and
journey.
bringing hope to community. I see so many persons online. Some of them are posting, some of them are not, but they are here. And the last thing, we're going to be playing a video, and then we'll come to the final part because we're going to be wrapping. And like Terrian and Lowen, I tell you, each time you come on my veranda, you blow it up. We usually do for 1 hour, and it's usually going for 2 hours whenever you
Yeah.
come because
All
it's
right,
so
Georgia,
informative.
just before you jump to the video,
Yes.
I see some important questions in the chat, and I want to take them. So one
Can
person
we
asked,
take it
We're gonna go
after
to
the
the chat
video?
after, yeah.
"You're gonna go to the chat
Question
after."
after, yeah.
All
Yes,
right,
the chat is after the video. So what we're
right.
doing is allowing persons to post in the Q&A section, or if you don't know how to use the Q&A, just put it in the chat. We'll figure it out.
Okay. All
We're
right.
gonna, before we go to the video, there's one thing you spoke about, and I want to bring awareness. So I'm wearing this lanyard. You've probably seen it. It's a new thing. It's the international recognition of persons with invisible disabilities.
Okay.
Right? And so when you go into for most, I saw this in Miami International Airport. Then I was in Virginia, I saw it, and I went to the American Airlines counter and begged it. See, they're usually about they're $12 on average. And I said, I want to represent and bring advocate. So
Yes.
for those who can, for the parents who are on, one of the things they're advocating is when you travel, if they're able to wear something around them, and this is one of those snap. So even if they pull on it, it won't choke them. They pull and it snaps.
Yeah.
And all it is a lanyard. It actually has an identifier here, and you can put the name on it, and they are now being trained in the international spaces to recognize anyone with
Yeah.
this lanyard, so they have there's more empathy that is shown. Go online, we're gonna post it, they're available, you can buy them, they run about $7. If you go to the American Airlines has a promotion in the airports, $7 to $12, and it can help you so that in public spaces there's not discrimination. It reduces the discrimination, and it also allows people to help. So a practical way. It's probably something as a women's federation we can look into supplying and work through in partnership with Autistic Edge. We will look at that afterwards. Go to the video and then we'll come back and you're going to answer the questions. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Megu. I'm the mother of an autistic child, Adriana Francis. It is Autism Awareness Month, and what I'd like from Jamaica as a parent of an autistic child is maybe a little bit more tolerance, a little bit more understanding. When we take them on the road, if they're in an unfamiliar situation, there are times when they'll throw what would look to you as like a tantrum, but it's actually a meltdown. Because for them, they are highly sensitive, and many times sounds that we can block out, feelings that we can analyze or we can assimilate, it's hard for them. They feel like all sounds are being thrown at them, all feelings are being thrown at them. They're overwhelmed with stimuli, with sensations. And for them, a part of the response to this overstimulation is for them to hit their heads, for them to scream, for them to behave in a way that as a society we may find unacceptable. But as a mother of an autistic child, I completely understand, and we're just asking for a little bit more tolerance from you.
Wow. Simple ways we can support each other in community. So we're gonna go ahead and take the questions in the Q&A. One of the things, while the Alleyne's come back on, because we would there. I know Alex is there, and he's wanting his mommy and daddy time. So we want to be quick with you, very quick on the Q&A. So go ahead, and you can address them. I know you can see the questions, so go ahead. If you want me to read them, I can.
Right. Yeah, look at the first one.
All right. So how do you combat the issue where the child is verbal, but occasionally when trying to explain something would resort to, for a better word, gibberish or moments of loud sound effects? All right. Now, the child can be verbal, but sometimes they do not speak with what we would have called with organized sentences. Because remember now, what we're having with them is a developmental disorder. Now, if they speak and they are not forming proper sentences or appropriate sentences, what you would need there is a language pathologist to be working with how to develop language and understanding for language. So the approach that you're gonna take to this is depending on what the child. So in this particular case, it's for this child, it's not about speech, but it's more about language. So if you get a good English teacher, right, or a SLP more focusing on the language aspect of it, then that is what would help. Or you'd have to research on how you can, work on actually develop language. Now, we have not gotten to the stage of language yet, so we are not able to give you much on language because right now we are predominantly working on the speech aspect of it. All right. So a
Thank
speech
you.
and language pathologist would be able to give you a
And
little
yeah,
bit
and I'm
more.
I'm almost sure that you did a video to explain the difference between speech and
And
language.
language, yes,
What,
I did.
Georgia, I've learned so much, there are some things that you take for granted. I did
Yeah.
I never thought about separating speech from language because it comes naturally to us who are
Who are
neurotypical,
verbal,
you
yeah.
understand, and verbal, but there is a difference, right, between speech and language, and that's why you need a speech language pathologist in order to help you with the intervention that the question that the person is asking. That's the ideal as far as intervention is concerned.
Yeah.
All
Thank you
right.
so much. There's
All
another
right.
one from Ali.
So is there a support group for parents of autistic children?
Mhm.
Well, we are a part of multiple support groups. We have the super parent support group. We also have Autism Village, and these are across from Jamaica. We have the Michael Care, and I think Michael caters for most of their parents who would have attended their seminars or would have gone to their institution for treatment.
Right. So if
No,
there are folks on here that
right. I was gonna say that.
you do have an autistic child, send us a WhatsApp. We're gonna put up the number at the end of the session again. Just send us a WhatsApp message and then, just explain the situation to us and we can get you connected
To one of the groups.
to one of the groups. So just send us a message.
Mm.
I'm gonna type it here in the meantime, but we're gonna put up the slide in a minute.
Thank you. And I know the secretary,
Again.
they had posted it earlier, Lowen, and they'll bring it up
Okay.
again at the
Okay.
end.
Okay.
All
But it
right.
actually had all of your, it had your social media handles and
Right.
also
Okay.
your contacts.
Right.
So
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's our WhatsApp number. Please don't call it. You won't get any answer. That's
Right.
just the
Just
Autistic
message.
Edge number. So we only respond by message
Right.
because we can't, overburden ourselves
With the
with
phone calls.
whatever.
And the other part too is that there is indeed the Jamaica Autism JASA, Autism Support
Yeah.
Association.
Mm-hmm.
That's a registered association that advocates on behalf of the autism community within Jamaica. That's the most prominent,
Yeah.
I would say, of the
Mm-hmm.
associations that exist.
Right.
And it's really closely knitted to the professionals that practice in the space as well. So the Jamaica Autism
yes.
Association is another one to look at. All right.
Thank you so much.
Are there any free or inexpensive resources that you could link us to as parents of autistic children? Of course, Autistic Edge, it is free. You go on YouTube and it is it's there, right? But as we do our research, Terry will share with you folks, right? YouTube is an incredible resource, right? You just need to know what it is that you're looking for, and you can search for content there. Terian is also writing courses. Cause I saw a question somebody was asking about training and course and stuff like that. She has one course that she has waiting in the wings, looking at speech therapy. Soon to be released on a platform called Udemy. That is the
Yeah.
name of the platform. So you guys are getting the sneak preview here, right here on the Jamaica Baptist Women's Federation, right? So there are a lot there are quite a number of places that we have to pull from. And here's the thing too. You have to be careful of content. Georgia spoke about somebody who published a paper, a medical practitioner published a paper that did that, with misguided intent. So you have to know how you gauge and filter some of the content that you do receive, right? Um and also, tap into your professionals, because we share on the channel all the time. We are not professionals. We caveat whatever it is that we share. We share what worked for us. Right?
I'm gonna correct you on that.
Yes, dear.
Because the young lady from Michael said that I should not say that I'm not a professional. I have 13 years of experience.
All right. Yeah,
I
okay, but
agree.
yes,
We are professional by practice.
professionals by practice.
No, expert
Okay.
by
Experts
practice.
by
Sorry.
practice, right? So we share what it is that we tried didn't work and tried and worked, right? So that's how we've learned, and we're not selfish at all. We share from that which we learned.
Thank you. I know we'd love to go on, but
Yes.
we're gonna be posting this recording onto our social media channels. So you can always go back. The content will include contact information to Terrian and Lowen for Autistic Edge. This
Yes.
has been another amazing session where we've
Right.
come together as community. And earlier when Sister Hilary Morgan did our devotional exercise, she started off about the abundant life. So some persons will say, but Lord, what is this you give me? We can experience the abundant life even through our advocacy, parenting, going alongside. One, grounded in Christ. We hear the Alleynes, Christians who have used this as they're part of God's ministry to God's people. They're undergirded by wholesome knowledge, always researching and giving that information to us. And they share it with community. They're not charging us the Autistic Edge. They're always out there and sharing, not being individualistic, and they are dedicated to the service of those who are going through. We want to say thank you. It's been an amazing session. We're going to take just one person speaking. There's Gerda Wright has raised her hand, and then we're going to move right in because I know we have to go. We have
To
to
wrap up.
release you to your son. So we're going to
Yeah.
do this briefly, and then we're going to have someone else is going to come on with, I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Sister Gerda.
And while she's opening her mic,
Yes.
somebody asked about they need
No,
assistance
it's a
in potty
mistake.
training.
I am
Um,
listening,
Give us a
okay.
minute,
but I
please.
think
She wanted to
I
say
think it's a
something.
mistake. I'm sorry.
Give us a minute, Sister Gerda. Go ahead,
No, it's a
carry on.
no,
Right.
it's a mistake. All right.
She doesn't seem to be hearing you clearly.
Okay. Right. So we see where somebody asked they need help with potty training.
Yes.
We have
Playlist.
a playlist on the channel for potty training. So we have about probably 3 or 4 videos there that gives you tips and some processes and things that you can implement for the potty training.
Right. And the person I was asking about their 2-year-old son, yeah, it's difficult to put labels like that, especially
For 2 years
for
old.
for a 2-year-old.
Still young.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So our recommendation is to, speak with the professionals, start with your pediatrician, and then they can guide you in terms of the direction to go there. But I'm very careful about using,
Non-verbal
using
or
labels
verbal at that stage.
at that
As a
stage.
matter of fact, what we can guide you is non-verbal for a 2-year-old is very different for a 7 and 8-year-old. Because for a 7 and 8-year-old, you would have expecting them to have much more words. Now, when it comes to like a 2-year-old, what you will be looking out for is how well they are following instruction, non-verbal cues, and also there are limited amount of words that they would have on a younger stage. So if you are guided by your milestone chart should tell you what your child should be doing at 2, how much words they should be having at around 2 years old. I think we also have a presentation on the channel that speaks to how to know if your child is, you can note this, how to know if your child is ready for speech therapy. That was the topic of the presentation. So under the playlist that says speech therapy, one of the earlier videos speak to how to know if your child is ready for speech therapy. So what we would have identified there is what they should be doing at what age and what they should be gradually doing, and the different activities that you would work on with a 2-year-old, different from what you will do with a 7, 8-year-old or an older child. So speech therapy is different at the different stages.
All right. Thank you so
All right.
much.
You're
So
welcome.
Skirta, right, it was a mistake. Thank you for letting us know. We're gonna wrap. Before we go though, to 2 things. We are going to have the final participation from those in attendance. Can you imagine? We had 70 people at tops and most of them are still on. For the 66 devices that are still on, at least on average 100 persons. Type in the chat where you're joining us from, the country or the space in Jamaica. And then we're gonna, while they're doing that, I want to hand over to our secretary, who is going to take us through some updates, and then we'll get into someone who will tell us thanks in a better way than I could. Go ahead, Madam Secretary. We'll come back to you. The Alleyne's type in the chat while she's presenting. All right.
Okay, sorry about the delays, my friends. Thank you so much, Madam President. Thank you, the Alleynes. Very quickly, as Madam President would have indicated, tomorrow is World Autism Awareness Day. So please ensure that the information that you have gathered today, you share it with someone. We are building a better world of empathy. So share the knowledge and share the love. On April 22nd will be Earth Day. Actually, it's Earth Month. And as is our custom, we pay closer attention to environmental stewardship as an extension of our witness. So for those who haven't gotten on the recycling bandwagon yet, it's not too late. Look out for more information from the JBWF on the 22nd of April regarding Earth Day. There are also other observances during the month of April, bringing awareness to the issues that affects us. This month is also observed as Stress Awareness Month, Child Abuse Prevention Month, Counseling Awareness Month, as well as Parkinson's Awareness Month. So just keep that on your mental radar. Holy Week meditations will come up during the month of April at the end of Lent, and at 5:30 a.m. each morning, we will engage in prayer and reflection via Zoom with the New Haven Baptist Church. Details will follow. If you're interested in joining us, it is usually a very relaxed and soul serving and time at 5:30 for an hour each morning. During that week, during Holy Week, the Jamaica Baptist Women's Federation will lead those devotions. Other upcoming events at the end of April, under the theme Look to Jesus Now, we will partner with the JBUMA to spread the gospel in Old Harbor, St. Catherine. Volunteers are needed, so if you are available, please make an indication to the Secretariat so that we can submit your names to the JBUMA. And if you're in the general area, please support this evangelism blitz. On the annual schedule of the JBWF, our executive meeting will be on the second Saturday in June. We will be hosted by the Hanover Parish Association. So please make sure that you are preparing to attend. Otherwise, always top of mind is the Garland Hall Home, where which is an organization or a facility that the JBWF runs. And the operating expenses continue to skyrocket, and the home is in need of our continued support. The JBWF Safe Shelter is 98% complete, as our president would have indicated on other platforms, but we need that assistance to take us over the next 2% that is needed. Again, please reach out to the Secretariat for further information. On the 7th of June, it will be the Caribbean Baptist Women's Union Day of Prayer. Please calendarize, and we will ensure that the information reaches to you in a timely manner so that Jamaica can make a strong representation and share in the Baptist, the CBWU Day of Prayer coming up. And big excitement, or Exhibition 2025, featuring the sweet potato and all the other sweet treats that accompany our creative skills. We are bringing the sisters out, and what a time it promises to be. Saturday, June 21, 2025, at the Ocherius Baptist Church, starting at 10 a.m. All parishes will be competing for the coveted trophy, being the best of the best, and all activities and efforts are geared towards taking the trophy to the respective parishes. The exhibition guidelines are available from the Secretariat and via our social media channels. The link is found in our bio on Instagram. Also, there's a link on Facebook. And before the end of the weekend, we are going to have it on our website, which is jbwf.online. Other upcoming events include a follow-up from the jewelry making session that happened in February. Sister Sharon James will be returning to follow up on that training. And every second Saturday, the Jamaica Baptist Union hosts virtual prayer sessions, and the JBWF, being a significant partner, always participates. A blessing is always available. Again, for Earth Day, reduce, reuse, recycle. So this year, for Earth Day, our power, our planet. Remember, recycling is important. We're trying to reduce our dependence on single-use plastics. And of course, the highlight of our activity each year as a body or conference 2025. Start putting away those $500 notes that you have, the change that you get back from your big spending, so that you can make it to conference 2025 at the Nutshell Conference Center, Duncan's Trelawney. In October, we will journey to Trinidad and Tobago. Well, we'll journey to Trinidad to join our brethren across the region for the CBWU annual conference. So again, please organize your schedules, diarize, and start saving and planning to join us in Trinidad. In July, some of us will be attending the Baptist World Congress to be held in Brisbane, Australia. So be in prayer for those who will be attending, and it's not too late to register and attend. Also in October, the Caribbean Baptist Fellowship will have its conference also in Trinidad. I should have done that the other way. But to keep updated on our activities, we are active on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram at JBWF 1922. Look for us. All our activities that are broadcast or live streamed are found on WhatsApp as well as on Instagram, on YouTube. I'm sorry. We have a WhatsApp channel that is free to join, and you are kept updated with our activities. You can send us an email, jbwfsecretary@gmail.com. Otherwise, you can reach us through our website, www.jbwfonline. Madam President, over to you. I'm not sure if I
Thank
missed
you.
anything.
I think you got it all. I just want to show off my earring. I don't know if you can see it. I know I have this background that has a lot of blur, but these earrings were made by the same session that you mentioned. We have our follow-up. It will be online from our instructor out of London, world-class jewelry makeup, who has taught us how we can empower ourselves to make some money. So listen out for that. Sister Candice mentioned it. Thank you. Everybody, you know the mitochondria in this cell, right? The powerful secretariat. Thank you so much. And at this time, we invite our president-elect, Sister Kimberly England, to move the vote of thanks. And right after that, we go into our prayer, we'll dismiss, and then we'll open the platform for some people to greet who haven't seen each other in a long time. Sister England, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us this evening for our Autism Awareness webinar. I want to just take a moment to express our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to everyone who made it possible this evening to attend and the persons who put this seminar together. I want to first thank Sister Hilary Morgan for her inspiring devotion that set a real meaningful tone for us this evening. We also want to extend our appreciation to our president for moderating with excellence and keeping us engaged throughout the session. A big shout out to our sister Candice for her invaluable technical support, ensuring everything ran smoothly. To everyone else who contributed to piecing together this fine seminar this evening, we are truly grateful for your efforts. Lastly, a heartfelt thank you to Lowenfield and Terry and Alleyne, as well as Alex Xavier, for graciously allowing us a glimpse into their lives. Your insights and your expertise on this important topic are invaluable. We appreciate your honesty, your openness, the time and effort you took to help us understand and to connect with important resources, which is vital in raising awareness about autism. If you can, let's all give them a warm virtual round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Kimberly. And as we are inclusive, we do have Terran and Lowen, we do have a branch established with persons who are deaf. And so yes, we applaud you and thank you for being here. Thank you, Sister Kimberly. We now move to the closing prayer that will be done by Vice President. And look on screen, a beautiful certificate, which we'll get to you.
Yes,
Again.
thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Sister Anne-Marie Patman is going to do the closing prayer for us. Sister Patman, go ahead, please. You're still muted.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Jesus. Blessings to all. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Great and mighty God. We give you thanks for being instrumental in the Jamaica Baptist Women's Federation. Thank you for this platform and the knowledge received through the presenters. Mighty God, we thank you for the faith and belief they placed in you and trust in you for not leaving them alone. Because of this, so many of us, myself included, God, with a grandson who is on the spectrum, we are so blessed to have this vast knowledge of coping with children with autism. Lord, we pray that you will help persons in this situation and give them the enabling to do what seems impossible, believing in you to carry them through. And I would pray to carry us through. Continue to bless the presenters, the Jamaica Baptist Women's Federation, and everyone on this platform. Thank you again, Lord. And we pray that through this session, seeds would have been sown, planted, and fruits born, God, from this presentation. We pray all this in no other name but the mighty and powerful exalted name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Amen and amen.
Amen, amen. God be with you all, my sisters and brothers, and we thank you. We're going to stop recording and then open the floor because I know some persons want to greet. Thank you for being here. I'll wait for the recording to stop because we will be posting this.